Hello, and welcome back to this series on God's character, who He is, what He does, and how we can trust Him. Today we get to talk about God's perfection. This is all about how God is perfect. There is no error found in God. This is a character and a quality of God that's under attack a lot in our culture. This character trait of God, the fact that He is perfect, is attacked because people look around, they see imperfection, especially in Christians, and they say, that is evidence that God is not a perfect God, when two things can be true at the same time. You can have an imperfect creation, an imperfect Christian, and a perfect God. And that's what we're going to unpack today. I want you to trust by the end of this video that God is a perfect God that you can trust. And this really is at the core of why we say God is perfect. If God is not perfect, how are we able to fully trust this God? Thank God He is perfect. But if He's not, we don't have a very solid foundation for who we believe, who we trust, and who we worship. But just even think about this idea of perfection. The fact that you can even think about perfection, have this idea of perfection, points to a perfect God. Why do you have the idea that something could be perfect when quite literally nothing on earth is perfect? It's a mirror into the eternal soul. It's a mirror into the depths of God and the law of God written on your heart. The fact that you can even think about perfection when you've never observed perfection once in your entire life. You've seen close to perfection, right? Like think about the New England Patriots. I think it was the 2007-2008 season. They were perfect all season. It was close, and then they lost in the Super Bowl. Even if they would have won every single game that year and they would have won the Super Bowl, their entire franchise hasn't been win after win after win. They've had seasons where they've had more losses than wins. They've had seasons where they didn't make it to the Super Bowl. They've had seasons where they haven't won the Super Bowl. More often, they haven't won than they have won. And so we see imperfection. There is not total perfection in anything that we see. And so we have this idea, yet it's almost never fulfilled. So where does that come from? It must come from a perfect God. Our hearts long to see perfection. And one day we will see perfection, and it'll be in the face of Jesus. And that's why I want to build your faith today, that there is a perfect God and He has a perfect plan for your life. Doesn't mean that it's going to be perfect in every single moment, but it means that we can trust Him. Here are a couple verses that talk about it. Deuteronomy 32:4. He is the rock. His works are perfect, and all His ways are just. A faithful God who does no wrong. Upright and just is He. He does no wrong. He is perfect. Psalm 18:30. As for God, His way is perfect. The Lord's word is flawless. He shields all who take refuge in Him. We see from this His ways and His word are both perfect. No error, no impurity. James 1:17. Every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of the heavenly lights, who does not change like shifting shadows. God is unchangingly good and perfect in all that He gives. We can also trust that God's character, His morality, is perfect. Leviticus 11, verse 44 says this, I am the Lord your God. Consecrate yourselves and be holy, because I am holy. God's holiness expresses His moral perfection. And lastly, in 1 John chapter 1, verse 5, it says, God is light. In Him there is no darkness at all. There is not even a trace of moral imperfection in God. The reason I want to make this so abundantly clear is sometimes even some theological systems place God in a situation where He is the author of imperfection. He's the author of sin. He's the author of evil. I'm not going to name any ideologies, but many of you probably know what I'm talking about. And even if you're not Christian, you certainly see God as an imperfect being. I mean, He commanded the slaughter of the Canaanites. He commanded the genocide of certain people groups, and those are different arguments for different videos. But what we can come back to, and what the overwhelming message of the Scripture is, that God is perfect. He does not make mistakes. He does not do something and then thinks, I shouldn't have done that. I regret that decision. I take that back. He is perfect. And what we see oftentimes in our world, imperfections everywhere, is the result of God's freedom that he gives to every single person. And so when we think about the evil and we point at the evil in this world and we say this imperfection is reason to believe God is not perfect, we actually have to point it back at ourselves, because how many times have we been imperfect? Now, it's not necessarily a reason to start comparing yourself to other people or thinking that you're better than other people, but we can sometimes get so upset at the imperfection of the world, we often forget that we contribute to that imperfection. We haven't been nice and kind and cordial in every single situation. We haven't had pure thoughts all the way through our life, from the moment we were born until this moment we're breathing right now. We haven't treated every single person with kindness, and so we are contributing to this imperfection. We're contributing to the sin that we see all around us. But we have to also point to the fact that there is a perfect God who, despite our willful disobedience, inserted himself into this imperfection through Jesus to make a way that we may be reunited with a perfect God. Because God's perfect, which means we can't exist in his presence if we're imperfect. Yet he intervened, made a sacrifice, his own body on the cross, so that we could be joined together with him again in eternity and to experience this perfection. And I don't really know what that experience will be like when we're in the perfect presence of God, but I can't wait to be there, and I can't wait to be there with you. So if you have any questions about God's perfection, or if you're struggling through some of these concepts and you want to know a little bit more about the context behind the scriptures, shoot us a message, leave a comment. We'd love to engage in some dialogue with you. We just want to start this conversation, if anything, around how perfect and holy God really is. I hope you're blessed by this. Have a great day.